Good boy, Tucker.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Hey.
Welcome.
Work smarter where you want.
Consistency is key.
And remember, if it's not in Redtail, it never happened.
This is learning at its most fun.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. Today, we are going to cover part 2 of how to handle prospecting in our business development series. If you haven't done so already, please go back and watch part number 1. That is going to talk about how to set up your database for success. And today, we're going to be looking at kind of the more intermediate to advanced side of prospecting. So it's going to work off of a couple of assumptions. The first is that you have watched part number 1 and you have organized your databases with the appropriate statuses and categories to make prospecting happen. The other 2 things that is going to assume you know how to do is how to use workflows and also how to use automations. And so if you have not used an automation or a workflow before, no need to worry. We have plenty of great resources available on our Redtail Help Desk. So if you go to your Redtail Help Desk and click on this little question mark icon here in the top right-hand corner and choose the Redtail Help Desk, you can go to this training sessions here where you can take a look at our workflow series. And so our workflow series is going to teach you how to build out some of the workflows that we're going to cover today, as well as how to automate those workflows to really streamline your prospecting process. Okay, and so let's go ahead and jump to it now. So thank you for watching those videos or knowing how to use workflows and automations. And let's go ahead and get started. So last video, we talked about the sales process, working a contact from the status of lead and the category of warm all the way into client. And so today I'm going to take this process, this outline here, and I'm going to embed in some workflows and some automations to help you with your prospecting process. Now, keep in mind, this is only one way to do prospecting inside Redtail. There are many ways to do prospecting. If you were to ask another trainer on my team, they might even teach you a completely different way. But today, you're talking to the apostle of automation. And so I love workflows, I love automations, and I like to make my life efficient and automatic. And so that's why I'm going to show you my favorite method for using prospecting in Redtail. But keep in mind, there are others. And if you're interested in those, be sure to check out that Redtail Help Desk and just type in the word prospecting, and we have lots of different strategies to help you with your prospecting process. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump to it. The first thing I wanted to jump your attention to is this prospecting workflow. So for this prospecting to work, you're going to want to create for yourself some kind of cadence for how you want to go ahead and prospect your contacts. So for me, I like to use a combination of both phone call and email. You might consider incorporating things like in-person meetings or even text messages into your interactions. But the idea here is that you have a process in mind and you build a workflow around it. And so this workflow serves as a cadence. So we have interaction number 1 here, which we're going to make a first phone call and we're going to send an email. And then we're going to have interaction number 2 where we go ahead and send the second email. Now keep in mind, if you see the target dates here, that happens 3 days later. So on the 3rd day, I send the email, and then 4 days after that, I'm going to make a second phone call to that prospect. And so at any time, what I can use is these outcomes here on the right-hand side to jump to where I need to go. So you can see here, if I were to make that first phone call and the prospect says, please never call me again, I don't have to call them 2 more times, right? That would be silly. I need to go ahead and just jump to, okay, they're not interested, and let's just be done with this workflow. There also is the instance where you might make that first phone call and that person is just like super excited and they want your help right away. And so I also have an outcome here for interested in meeting, which basically allows for me to jump all the way down to the bottom and go right to the meeting without having to make those follow-up calls, because there's really no need to follow up if they're already interested. And so you could use this workflow here as an example in your process. But again, just make a process, could think through how many times do I want to follow up, what types of methods do I want to use for follow-up, and how do I want to prospect? And then we're going to build that into a workflow and then put that into Redtail, okay? And then the other part of it is the automation side of it. So here's an example of a prospecting automation. Basically what this does is when we add a new contact into Redtail, it's going to automatically link the workflow template of prospecting number 1 if and only if the contact status is equal to prospect. So instead of me going in, typing in the contact, and then adding the contact to Redtail. And then once the contact's created, I'm going to go hit the plus button in the corner and add the workflow. No. That's too many clicks, right? I want this to be fast. I want to start prospecting right away because I want to do what makes me money, and that's be on the phones, talk to clients. And so what this does is basically as soon as I hit that save contact button, when I add a new contact in Redtail, it's automatically going to start that workflow right away. I don't need to do anything additional work or anything like that to do that. So let's go ahead and jump to it. So now we're going to take these two tools, or really three, because we have the cadence, the workflow, and the automation, and we're going to put them all together and create for ourselves a nice prospecting process. Okay. All right, so let's jump back to our Redtail CRM here. Okay, and I'm just going to start here on the Today page. And so just like Curtis showed us in our last video, we are going to start with the lead warm. So we're going to focus on those contacts at the first stage of the cadence, and that is lead warm. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go ahead and create for myself a contact that is lead warm. And so I'm just going to go ahead to the plus button right here at the top. And I am going to choose new contact. So plus button here at the top and choose new contact. And that's going to take me to the add contact page. Now, first thing it's going to ask me, what type of contact do I want to add? In this case, it's going to be an individual contact. Okay, awesome. And so here is my new contact screen. Today's contact, I've been listening to a lot of country music lately. I don't know if anybody has any choice opinions on that, but one of my favorite artists is Mr. John Party. And so I'm going to go ahead and add him as a contact, and he's going to be my prospect today. And so I don't know a whole lot about John Party. I know that, you know, he's an artist, you know, and I'm sure he has a record label, but I'm not sure the name of it. We can add information about his spouse and his address and so forth. So what I'm going to do at this point is with a lead, I'm just going to enter in as much information as I know. I might not know a address at this point, but maybe I did for some reason get his phone number. I can go ahead and let's go ahead and add a cell phone number here. And I'm just going to do a quick example of 555-123-4567. Okay, and he also gave me his email too. So I know his email, it's his work email, and his is john@music.com. Okay, and the most important part here is I'm going to add the status of lead and the category of warm. Okay, and by doing that, it's going to trigger a little bit of magic in my database. And you'll see what that magic is in just a second, because when I go down to this save a new contact option here, I'm going to be able to add that new contact. And I don't know if you caught it, but do you notice this right here? You see it? One active workflow. And if I go ahead and scroll down, I can go ahead and see that, oh, look at that. The prospecting workflow has already been assigned. The advisors know that they need to make the phone call, and the client service team knows that they need to send the email. So just like that, instantaneously, I added that prospecting workflow without any additional clicks or effort. And it's all thanks to automations in my database. So let me go ahead and show you what that looks like. I'm going to go to my name here in the top right-hand corner, and I'm going to choose the manager account option. I'm going to go ahead and open it up in a tab, so that way we can come back to this prospecting process quickly. And so I had an automation template in my database here. So I choose automation templates. Sorry, I did that a little fast. Let me go back. Name, manage your account. And then under the manage template section, we have the second option for automation templates. And that's where I go to make these triggers happen. So it's this one right here. It's prospecting number one. When a contact is added with the status of lead and the category of warm, the prospecting number one workflow links. And so I can go ahead and view that and show it here. Again, contacts added is the trigger event. To do this action is link workflow, prospecting number one. And then of course I have my conditions as well. Now, like I said, I don't have the time to go through automations and the different options there, but if you go to our Redtail Help Desk, there's lots of different resources available to teach you how to use automations, and then also to teach you how to build that workflow template out. So be sure to check those out for more information about that workflow and automation All right, so let's go back to John's record. So now John is a new prospect of mine. And I have the workflow started here. And so I know that, well, the advisors need to make the phone call and they need to send out the email too. And so let's go ahead and take care of those workflow tasks. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up my phone here and I'm going to dial 555-123-4567. Okay. And so if you would see me on camera now, I'd be picking up my phone. I'd go ahead and place an outbound call to John. And oh, I got his voicemail. All right. So we went ahead and we left a voicemail for John. So of course, the next thing we need to do is add a note. So I'm going to click add a note here, and let's go ahead and add a note. So I left voicemail for John, and let's go ahead and put that under the category of, I believe we have one for prospecting. Let's see. Let's just do a phone call outgoing. Okay, so a phone call outgoing, left voicemail for John, spell the name right. And we'll go ahead and save that note. Okay, so now we went ahead and placed that voicemail. And so we can go ahead and come down here and mark off the prospecting phone call as complete. And then of course, we also need to send them that email as well. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna scroll up on the record and I'm gonna click John's email address. What that's gonna do is it's gonna open up my Redtail email client and I can go ahead and send out an email. So, hey, John, or you know what, let's save myself some time. I'm gonna use Redtail email templates to help myself speed up this process. Now, again, if you're like, what's an email template? Go ahead, go to our help desk, type in broadcast emailing, and you can learn all about email templates and how to make this happen. And so rather than typing out all that information, I'm just gonna go ahead and use a template here. I'm gonna go ahead and just type in my business name, advisory services, and we're gonna go ahead and send out that email to John. Okay, I'm gonna hit cancel here, but you would hit send out email to John. We go ahead and send him an email, seeing if we can get in touch with them, and we're gonna go ahead and complete prospecting email. So once that happens, you're gonna notice a pop-up that happens, and this is called your outcomes. Again, if you're not sure what's happening right now, go back, watch the workflow video, and it'll teach you all about how to use these. But we have three options. We can either say that John is interested in a meeting, he's not interested in a meeting, or we just completed this interaction and we need to do some further follow-up. So I left a voicemail and I sent an email. Not a lot of response there. So he's definitely not interested, but he's also not interested. And so we're just going to go ahead and mark this as completed, and we'll follow up with John. And if I want, I can even enter in some step notes here about how that went. So I could say sent email and left voicemail. So that adds a note inside the workflow, letting anybody who needs to know about that can go ahead and look at that. So let's go ahead and complete the step. Okay, and now we have number 2, which is to send another prospect email in 4 days. And so we don't have 4 days to wait. So I'm just going to go ahead and send that email out again. And so let's do that now. We'll pretend that today is October 19th. We're going to click on John's email one more time. We have a second template for prospecting here that we can go ahead and use. And I'm going to go ahead and send that out to John. Okay, so we'll set that send email, sends it off to John, and we can go ahead and complete that option next. Okay, it's going to ask us what the outcome is. In this case, we didn't hear back from John with the first email or the second email. So I'm just going to mark this off as completed, and we're going to go ahead and follow up one more time. So sent email number 2. Okay, we're going to complete this step. All right, so now we're going to go even further in the future. So now we're a week from today or 3 days from sending that last email. Still haven't heard back from John. So let's go ahead and give him another call. I'm going to pick up my phone here. I'm going to dial 555-123-456. And guys, I got a hold of John. John's here. Hey, John, how's it going? Yeah, great. I wanted to see if you were interested in getting to discuss a financial plan. Oh, you are? Awesome. All right, great. How does Friday at 4 o'clock work for you? All right, perfect. I'll see you then. Bye. All right, guys, great news. John is interested in a prospecting meeting. And so we're going to go ahead and move forward with our workflow now. by marking off first that we completed the phone call. So here we go. Oh, actually, I skipped a very important step. I made contact with John. And so I'm going to want to go ahead and add a note of that inside Redtail, because if it's not Redtail, it didn't happen. And so let's go ahead and add that. I'm going to say that talked to John today. He is interested in meeting on Friday at 4 p.m. Awesome. And I can go ahead and categorize that as the appropriate category. We'll go ahead and put that as a outgoing phone call again. And go ahead and save that note. Oh, actually, you know what I should do is I should also create this follow-up activity as well, because we need to put that on our calendar that we're going to meet with John at 4 on Friday. And so let's go click this box here. And that's going to create an activity based off of this note. Okay, and so I'm just going to go ahead and save the note, and you'll notice what's going to happen is it's going to prompt me to add a calendar event. And so I'll go ahead and add the subject here. Let's go ahead and say this is a discovery meeting with John. Okay, notice his contact's already linked. The note, it's already there. All I got to do is just go ahead and put in the time. So it's going to be Friday at 4 o'clock. The task at hand, let's go ahead and make an appointment. And we will call this a discovery meeting. Okay, and we'll go ahead and save that activity to put it on our calendar. So now Friday at 4 o'clock is blocked off. We can see that on John's record, we have that meeting at 4 o'clock. So now that John is interested in a meeting, we can go ahead and update him from not only a lead to a prospect, because we've now made contact with him. So we would be moving him up the chain to prospect hot. So he is interested in a meeting. Now, if we weren't able to get a hold of John, we might put him into either lead cold, because we never received any information from him. We might maybe follow up maybe in a couple months to see if he's still interested. If John were to tell me, hey, Austin, I'm not interested in meeting with you at this time, you know, I already have a financial advisor, I'm happy with my services, then we go ahead and enter him to lead lost. But since we've had a success, we're going to go ahead and put him under prospecting and hot. Okay, so before we do that, let's go ahead and mark off that workflow here that we completed this call. We are going to go ahead and choose the outcome for interested in meeting. And we can go ahead and add a step note too if we want. So John was interested. Go ahead and add a smiley face. So we're very happy about that. Complete that step. And now it's going to let me know what is next in the process. So the next step is to update the contact category and to schedule a discovery meeting. So thankfully, we already took care of that on our phone call. So we can go ahead and mark that off as complete. And then the next step is just to update the contact category. When I go to update the contact category, again, I'm going to refer back to my cadence here, and I'm going to enter them as prospecting hot. So let's do that now. We're going to go to contact details here. We're going to choose edit. And we're going to go to prospect. And I'm going to put them in as a hot prospect. Okay, we're going to update those contact details. Now, you're going to notice that when I go down here and complete the contact category, we're going to finish out this workflow. So we'll mark this one as finished. So we are done with the lead prospect. Did you see how that worked? Prospecting number 2 just showed up. Now, how the heck did that happen, right? Well, it all comes back to that automation. I had an automation in my database that for when I changed John from prospect to hot, it added prospecting workflow number 2. So now we're at the step of having the discovery meeting. So now I'm at a separate workflow process at this point. This is the process of when I have somebody interested in a meeting, what's our process for that? And so we need to go ahead and have that discovery meeting with John. And so let's go ahead and get the conference room prepped. I'm gonna go ahead and complete that. We need to go ahead and update the meeting notes and create the opportunity in Redtail. I'm gonna do that after the meeting. So let's go ahead and have that meeting with John. So I'll be right back. I'm going to go meet with John, and I'll be right back to show you what to do next. So, all right, I'm back. So we had a great meeting with John. Everything went great, and he is interested in becoming our client. So great news, everybody. We can go ahead and mark off John as a new client of our practice. And so at this point, I'm going to want to go ahead and mark him off as contact details is pending, because really we're just pending some paperwork, getting John fully onboarded as our contact to make him our client. So if we go back to our cadence here that we talked about last video, now we've moved up a tier. We've gone to prospecting pending. Because our meeting went so well with John, we're staying in the green. If that meeting didn't go well, it would go under prospect lost. Or if maybe John no-showed the meeting or just wasn't communicating with us, then it would go to prospect hold. But since it went great, we're going to go up one tier to prospect pending. All right, and so let's go to our workflow task down here at the bottom. We need to update the red tail notes and create an opportunity. So let's do that now. We're going to go ahead and open up our discovery meeting we had with John. And I'm going to add in some notes about our meeting. So here's the note from last time. I'm just going to add an additional one here. So we can say had discovery meeting with John. He would like to be our client. Now, of course, your notes are going to be a lot more detailed than mine. You're probably going to spell things correctly as well. But for time's sake here, I'm just going to go ahead and speed up the process by just entering a brief note. And then, of course, I'm going to go ahead and categorize that appropriately as a discovery meeting. Okay. So now that we've had the discovery meeting and we've entered in our notes, we can go ahead and mark this off as complete. So I'm going to save and complete this. It's going to take me back to John's record. And because I entered in the red tail meeting notes, I can go ahead and mark that as complete. All right, and then our next step is to create an opportunity within Redtail to track this as it goes along. So at this point, you can go to this opportunities tab here on the right-hand side. I'm going to go ahead and open it up in a new tab. And if I wanted to, I can go ahead and add a new opportunity for John. Now, if you're interested in learning more about opportunities, go visit our Redtail Essentials opportunity videos on our help desk. It's going to show you how to use the opportunity tool and how to manage opportunities within your practice. For time's sake, we're not going to cover opportunities today. We're going to just basically continue right along. And because John was an instant success, there really isn't much of more prospecting or opportunities that I need to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark this as complete and move on to the next outcome in the process. And so John was interested in a meeting right away. And so we'll go ahead and move him to interested. And it's going to go ahead and give us the next steps in the prospecting process. So I need to update the contact status. I need to update the contact category. I need to schedule an onboarding meeting, or I need to start the onboarding workflow. Now, what I'm going to do actually is, rather than having it as a start onboarding workflow, I have mine automated to be when we update John's status and category, it's going to automatically start the onboarding workflow. So check this out. If I go up here and I change it to, let's change it to active clients. And then for us, everybody starts as an A client. And we'll go ahead and update those contact details. And so if I just give this page a refresh here, you'll notice a new workflow has started. And that's because we've updated the status and the category. So we'll mark those off as complete. And here's our onboarding workflow. So here's all the information that we need to add to John's record to get him onboarded into our system. Okay, and so the reason we have this here is just to show you that you can either use automations like I'm using, or if you want, you can just manually trigger workflows. So if you wanted to just have the workflow be more of a manual process instead of using those automations like I'm showing, I could just go to this plus button here at the top. choose workflows, and I could start the workflow manually if I wanted to. But like I said, I'm the apostle of automation, and so I like making everything as automatic as possible. And so we can go ahead and complete this opportunity, and then we'll go ahead and get that onboarding meeting scheduled for John. Okay, and then at this point, the onboard meeting has started, and we'll go ahead and just enter in some of those pieces of information. So for example, we have his email address and his phone number, but we don't have his family set up. So let's go ahead and include his family. We'll go here to create new family, and we'll add the party family. Okay, and so now you've begun the onboarding process, which is, and it's a process entirely different than the prospecting process, but you can see how we moved in the cadence from lead warm to prospecting hot to prospect pending all the way to client. And we use automations and workflows in our database to keep the process moving along. Everybody was in tune with what needs to happen for each contact because we had a workflow in place that details out that process. And then we use the power of automations to make those appear automatically without any additional thought or effort.
Thanks so much for joining us today for this particular session. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call at 800-206-5030, option 3 for support, or just shoot us an email over to support@redtailtechnology.com. Thanks a lot and have a great day.